Now to more of my interview with President Trump. So you're going back to Butler to finish that speech, to give another speech.
I'm going back to, it's interesting to finish it. You say, and now to proceed
continued,
from where.
To be continued.
Yeah, I mean,
Why? Why
it's a very interesting way of looking at it.
I mean, I think that's, I think I've said that was a good idea. It's a good idea. Why?
I think it's important symbolically. I don't think we should be stopped by somebody that has severe mental problems or whatever his problem was.
You're going to do rallies outside.
Yeah, I'm going to do rallies.
A lot of predictable backbiting and media pig piles on your vice presidential choice, J.D. Vance. They're stereotyping him as some, out of control, knee-jerk, conservative, et cetera, et cetera. But some of it's coming from Republicans who I think want to go back to the days of open borders and perpetual war. How do you expect to use him in this campaign, and what can you say to our viewers tonight to reassure them that this was an excellent pick? Well,
first of all, he's got tremendous support. And he really does among a certain group of people that like families. I mean, he made a statement having to do with families. That doesn't mean that people that aren't a member of a big and beautiful family with 400 children around and everything else, it doesn't mean that a person doesn't have, he's not against anything, but he loves family. It's very important to him. He grew up in a very interesting family situation, and he feels family is good. And I don't think there's anything wrong in saying that. Now, they took that as an indication that people that don't have families, look, I could see.
It's an easy opening, right?
It's so crazy.
Easy.
But I know so many people, they never met the right person, male or female, they just never met the right person. They're unbelievable. They're every bit as good as anybody else that has the most beautiful family.
So what do you say to women out there watching? He's addressed it, but what do you say to women out there watching who may not have kids?
I think they understand it. No, I think they understand it. The Democrats are good at spinning things differently from what they were. All he said is he does like, I mean, for him, he likes family. I think a lot of people like family, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And you know why? You don't meet the right person, or you don't meet any person. But you're just as good, in many cases a lot better than a person that's in a family situation. But they took it and they spun it differently. When you listen to his words, you helped me very much when you analyzed the what was said in Charlottesville. And what I said was perfect. But they stop it after the first sentence.
Classic.
They didn't put the second sentence and the third sentence. And you were actually very helpful in that. You were the first one that picked that up. And once that happened, all of a sudden, and now every time you see Joe Biden with that phony story that he ran for president because of Charlottesville, it's just.
Did he drop out because of Charlottesville too? I mean, come on.
Well, he dropped out, and it's really, he truly did. That was a coup on an American president. And Obama doesn't like him, and he doesn't like Obama.
Do you believe that reporting, that Cy Hirsch reporting that Obama basically through various channels, maybe even directly to Biden, said, "Look, Joe, you either leave or, they're going to use the 25th Amendment."
We'll do it the easy way or the hard way.
Some version of that story. Do you find that plausible?
That's what happened. I mean, the bad part is that it's not. They talk about a threat to democracy. They're a threat to democracy, because they should have gone out to see who it is. Now, I like this better because I'd rather run against him than I think any one of the people that we're talking about or that could get it. I think I probably would prefer running against her more than running against anybody else. She's a disaster.
You're the clear favorite, by the way, in the top three issues: the economy, immigration, inflation. So let's start with the economy. What would your policies do to bring down inflation so people understand? Like you said, we're going to have a great economy, but how?
So pretty easy. He blew it with energy, with oil prices, gasoline prices. And he really blew it because it went up. I was at $1.87. They went up to $5, $6, and they're going up again, by the way, if you're not watching. Drill, baby, drill. If we get energy down, everything else is going to follow. It's the most important thing. Additionally, we have to keep all of these people that are causing this country a fortune. We're giving them health care, we're giving them schooling, we're giving them hospitals. They're taking up our hospitals.
Illegal
we have to close up the border. We cannot afford, no country can afford to take millions of people and support them. And you know what? Where they're living right now, most of them are coming just because they think this is a great opportunity to come. They weren't dying where they're living. They lived there, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. They weren't dying. They're coming here because you look at guys like Gavin Newsom, where he says openly, come here, come to us, we're going to take you in.
Coming up, will there actually be a Trump-Harris debate? His answer next.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
All right. Meanwhile, let's start with the Fox News alert. In just 4 hours, the acting Secret Service director will testify on Capitol Hill about the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump.
And this morning, we are learning new details about how that shooter got on top of the roof before opening fire. The FBI reveals the gunman, he had access to the roof. He shot by climbing, or where he was shooting. He got up there by climbing up the building's HVAC and the pipes.
So he didn't need the ladder. Chad Pergram joins us live from the Capitol Hill. All right, Chad, what's going to happen today? Are we going to get some answers from the acting director that we weren't going to get from the director last week or 2 weeks ago?
Well, good morning. I'm told that this hearing probably will be a little more substantive than the hearing with the former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle last week. They're going to start in just about 4 hours in this hearing room behind me. So far, they have been able to establish a timeline about the shooting, but they don't still know a lot about the shooter. They're trying to determine a motive. There are more questions than answers. Dick Durbin is the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and he will co-head this hearing today.
Why was the shooter able to conduct a renaissance at the fairgrounds on the morning of the rally? How and when was he able to bring an assault rifle on the premises? Why was the building from where the gunman shot excluded from the Secret Service security perimeter, despite being within range of an AR-15, the most popular rifle in America?
The FBI now says that Thomas Crooks bought guns and chemicals online, but there isn't much information yet about why the building from where he shot wasn't covered. And there are questions about communication between the Secret Service and local police. Michael Waltz of Florida is now on a special House task force investigating the shooting.
How does the Secret Service define suspicious versus active threat? And why was there such a breakdown between local law enforcement and the communication of getting that over to the core details so that President Trump could be either prevented from going out or pulled immediately? A lot to get to the bottom of.
It's been more than 2 weeks since the shooting, and that's why lawmakers are frustrated at the breakdown and lack of information. So is former President Trump. He praised Secret Service agents, but he has questions.
They were very brave because they were coming, bullets were flying over me because I went down, bullets were flying, and they were on top of me. They were very brave. I have to say that. Okay, with that being said, should have been somebody on the roof. There should have been communication with the local police, which there wasn't, so that's a bad thing. And they were seeing this guy, who was a very disturbed person, and they were seeing him around.
Now, the former president, he has agreed to be interviewed by the FBI. That will come on Thursday, and lawmakers and investigators continue to have questions. Did Crooks work alone? Guys, back to you.
Hey, Chad, do you believe that this is going to be a true bipartisan committee? You know, you talk to the people that they're going to be equal on it. There should not be any politics involved in this. Are they going to approach this and from a bipartisan way when they come down to it?
So far, this has been pretty bipartisan, and there's kind of 2 or 3 inquests here. You have the co-hearing today with the Homeland Security Committee and also the Judiciary Committee, and what you're referring to there is the House task force. This is something that the House voted on last week. It does slide a little bit in the favor of the Republicans. There's 13 members on that committee. It's 7-6. That's the membership breakdown. But almost every member I have spoken to a T, Democrats and Republicans, they want to get to the bottom of this.
Indeed. And Chad, unlike the Secret Service director who testified last week and then had to quit, this guy actually went to Butler. And apparently he got up on the roof and he laid down in the prone position to see the line of sight. So when the senators ask about that, at least he can say, I was there.
Yeah, and there's going to be questions to him about whether or not there were these requests from the Trump campaign for additional Secret Service agents and kind of bolstering, anything they can do to protect the former president there. He's somebody who would know and have direct knowledge of whether or not those requests were rejected. That's going to be a key line of questioning at this hearing today and other hearings in the future.
All right,
Chad,
Chad.
thank you so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Here's more of my interview with former President Trump. They're also attacking you for other ridiculous reasons. They're saying that you said to a crowd of Christians that they won't have to vote in the future.
Yeah, let me say what did I mean by that. I had a tremendous crowd speaking to Christians. I mean, this was a crowd that liked me a lot. I think I'm at 97% or something. And they're treated very badly by this administration, okay? Catholics are treated unbelievably. They're like persecuted. And if I might say, before I go into the other, Jewish people, if you're Jewish and you vote for Biden or the Democrats or Kamala or whoever's going to run, I guess it's going to be her. But if you voted for her or the Democrats, you should have your head examined, because nobody's ever been treated so badly by this. This administration is destroying Israel, et cetera, et cetera. So with respect to like a statement like I made, that statement is very simple. I said, vote for me. You're not going to have to do it ever again. It's true. Because we have to get the vote out. Christians are not known as a big voting group. They don't vote. And I'm explaining that to them. You never vote. This time, vote. I'll straighten out the country. You won't have to vote anymore. I won't need your vote. You can go back
So
to
you
not
meant you don't have to vote for you because you have 4 years in office.
Look.
what
Christians are known. You know who else doesn't vote? Gun owners don't vote.
But just to be clear, what you're saying, though, you're not saying it's being interpreted, as you are not surprised to hear, by the left as, well, they're never going to have another election. He's saying there's not.
Okay.
So,
First time I've even heard.
Can you even just respond to that?
I said Christians. I started off by saying, just so you understand, you never vote. Christians do not vote well. They vote in very small percentages. Why? I don't know. Maybe they're disappointed in things that are happening. But for a long time, I say, you don't vote. I'm saying, go out. You must vote. November 5th is going to be the most important election in the history of our country. Whether you vote early or not, we should have, by the way, one-day voting. We should have voter ID. We should have proof of citizenship. And we should have paper ballots, okay? That's what we should have. But we don't have that. But I said to the Christians in the room, thousands of them, I said, typically Christians do not vote. Why it is, I don't know. You're rebellious. Something's going on. Don't worry about the future. You have to vote on November 5th. After that, you don't have to worry about voting anymore. I don't care, because we're going to fix it. The country will be fixed, and we won't even need your vote anymore, because frankly, we will have such love. If you don't want to vote anymore, that's okay. And I think everybody understood it. I didn't know there was any difference.
Well, I mean, because it's the constant refrain. I mean, after they have done all the things that we've talked about tonight.
Horrible.
All of the things.
Russia, all the things.
And dump their guy of 52 years, just dump him to the side. So they do all that, and then they say, well, no, you can't vote for him because he's literally never going to leave office. They're actually still saying that.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable.
But you will leave office after 4 years.
By the way, and I did last time, I kept hearing, he's not going to leave, he's not going to leave. Look, they are the ones that are a threat to democracy. Number one, they had an incompetent man as president, okay? Now they have somebody who's worse. She's sort of incompetent. She's not very smart, but she's very radical. Very radical. She will try and defund the police. She's going to try and defund the police.
Is she more of an extremist than most
Bernie.
Americans today still understand?
Than Bernie. They say more than Bernie Sanders.
He endorsed her.
Bernie Sanders is a major lunatic, okay? She's worse than Bernie Sanders. Now, she's trying to come back. She got rid of the laugh. I noticed, I haven't seen that crazy laugh that she got. She's crazy. That laugh, that's the laugh of a crazy person. But I noticed that she's not using that laugh anymore. Somebody convinced her, don't laugh, just don't laugh. Don't laugh under any circumstances, because
I like laughter, but sometimes
not her laughter.
But she claims now she's tough. She's tough on crime. She was a tough prosecutor. Never the borders are.
She was a bad prosecutor. She was a prosecutor of black people. She put thousands and thousands of black people in jail over marijuana. But when it came to big crime, murders and everything else, she was weak. She would love to go after Trump. You know, she says, oh, Trump, 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 I did nothing wrong. They did a lot wrong, but I did nothing wrong. This was a totally manufactured deal. This was an attack on a political opponent. And she was involved in that with Biden. And so far it's backfired because people know this was an attack on a political opponent. She was a bad prosecutor in San Francisco. She led the cashless bail and all of the different things. She was the first of all of the bad prosecutors that have allowed. You know, if you look at the 25 top cities, they're basically all Democrat. The prosecutors are weak. She was the early, she destroyed, she's a San Francisco liberal.
They're pushing for debates with you.
Yeah.
It went down in flames for them last time, but they think this is they're going to get you. So you've been kind of a little unclear about whether you're going to debate or not. Will you commit tonight to debating Kamala?
So I like debating. I like debating. I've done a lot of debates, and I've won the debates. I think they say I won the election because of that. I don't mind. They were pushing for this early debate. I said, why do we want to do an early debate? It didn't make sense to me. It turned out I was right, but for the wrong reasons, right? I want to do a debate, but I also can say this. Everybody knows who I am, and now people know who she is. She's a radical left lunatic. She'll destroy our country. She wants open borders.
And why not debate her?
Well, wait. But because they already know everything. She wants to defund our police. She wants no bail. She wants no cash. No, you kill somebody and we're going to release you immediately. They call it cashless. Cashless. By the way, this has been a horrible thing for our country. This has been what I just said. But we know where she is. She wants high taxes.
Well, they're going to say you're afraid of debating her. That's what they're going to say.
Well, they said that with Biden, too. You know, I was afraid. I did great with Biden, and I did great in every debate. I've had a lot of debates.
But you're winning on all the issues,
But, you
right?
know, I'm leading in the polls by, I think, a lot. I don't know. I hear different numbers. But I'm leading in all of the polls. I'm leading big in all of the swing states. And I say this. The answer is yes, I'll probably end up debating. I think, actually, the debate should take place before the votes start being cast. You know, I had a very good second debate with Biden. I really beat him badly. The problem was 30, 40% of the votes were already cast. If you're going to have a debate, you got to do it, I think, before the votes are cast. I think it's very important that you do that. So the answer is yes. But I can also make a case for not doing it. Also, I don't like rewarding fake news. I don't like rewarding the people that have been, they're going to make tens of millions of dollars with this debate. I don't like ABC. I think it's a terrible, terrible outfit. I don't like that ABC is going to get rich, George Slopadopoulos, as I call him. I don't like these are such bad people. I don't like that ABC is going to get rich. I don't like, and I will say something that when CNN did the last one, they were very fair. Jake Tapper was very fair.
Well, maybe just you and her, Vice President Harris in a room together with no moderators.
I don't mind that. I don't mind anything. Look, I don't mind. We can do any form of a debate. You know, when they asked me to do the debate, they didn't think I was going to do it because they were going to they offered me the two heads, the two announcers, whatever you'd call them, the referees, call them whatever you want. But I have to say, they were both very fair. It was CNN. They wanted to sit down. I said, no, I don't want to sit down. You can't sit down. They want to sit down. They offered me everything that I couldn't accept, and I accepted it. I accepted everything. And we had a debate. It was a great debate. It was actually, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have debated so well because if I didn't, you know, that was the end of him. Because from that day on, you could see that he was not going to be, in my opinion, I said, I don't think he's going to make it anymore. Now I have her. I would rather run against her than him. I think she's easier than he is because he had a certain, I always felt he was.
Scranton Joe.
I always felt he was incompetent, but he had a certain base. And no matter how bad he was, people were going to vote for him. She doesn't have that base.
Coming up, what does former President Trump think of the Olympics opening ceremony? That's next.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you for holding this hearing. I appreciated Director Rowe when we had the classified briefing and also today taking responsibility for the agency and your own personal emotion and reaction to your visit and what had gone wrong. For the people in my state that keep asking me, I just don't get how he got on the roof. I know we've gone through great details and a lot of examination. Could you just give a minute on what went wrong and how you think it can be fixed? Because I think it's just going to help to dispel the conspiracy theories. There are some people that think it didn't really happen, which of course is completely ridiculous. It did. There are some people that think all kinds of conspiracies went on within the government, which is also false. But could you just tell them what went wrong so they understand?
Yes. No, thank you, Senator. I thought long and hard about this. I think this was a failure of imagination. A failure to imagine that we actually do live in a very dangerous world where people do actually want to do harm to our protectees. I think it was a failure to challenge our own assumptions. The assumptions that we know our partners are going to do everything they can, and they do this every day. But we didn't challenge our own assumptions of, we assume that someone's going to cover that. We assume that there's going to be uniform presence. We didn't challenge that internally during that advance. So moving forward, I've directed that when we're talking to people and we're making requests, we are very specific about what we want. We are providing explicit instructions on exactly what our expectation is and what we need them to do and what we want them to do. That's the only way that we're going to be able to move forward beyond this. And let me just tell you that our state and local law enforcement partners are the best. So this belief that somehow they are less than federal law enforcement or they're less than the Secret Service, they're out there patrolling communities every day. They're the ones out there going into hazardous conditions every day. They know their communities. They have the ability to enforce state and local laws. Our advance agents do not.
Right.
We need them, and we need them to be partners with us, and I think we need to be very clear to them, and that may have contributed to this situation.
Yeah, appreciate that. I have the same respect. Next, one of the things you mentioned to me was, and to all of us, was in this other briefing, was just the texting protocol. And I think a lot of us think about this in non-security settings, about how people are just texting all the time instead of talking, and how it takes our eyes off, in your case, the target. Could you talk about what might have gone wrong there and how you think things could change when there's the hope is that their eyes are constantly on the scene and on the potential targets and risks?
Thank you, Senator. So, again, we need people focused on the problem or on their area of responsibility. It was great that there was a text chain, but that communication needs to go over the net. It needs to go over a radio channel so that everyone has situational awareness of it. And the point I was making in the closed door briefing is that we have to get to a point now where we are using our radio systems to have that collective awareness of this. I think, one of the things that I've directed is that in addition to the interoperability, we're going to roll out common operating picture, a common operating platform that we utilize for national special security events. We have the ability to roll that out to the field that has a Blue Force tracker in it that's able to, where you can put where all your state and local assets are, where our federal assets are. But in addition to that, I want people using the radio. So it's great that the tactical elements are talking to each other. It's great that the shift is talking to each other, but we have to be able to make sure that whenever we come across a situation, that everyone has situational awareness of this. And I will take this, in my time when I was operational on the President's detail, we were given the explicit instruction, hey, if you're going to pass it, if it's relevant enough that you feel like you need to pass that information, do it over the radio. And that was the protocol that we had. And I think over the years, perhaps with the advent of technology and smartphones, perhaps we've gotten away from that. But we need to get people back on the scope, back on mission, back focused on what they need to be responsible for.
Okay, and the next question I'll put in writing. Thank you very much of you, Mr. Abate, but it's just pointing out that we've seen this rise in threats against members of Congress, which of course is relevant to this. 8,000 just last year, more than 4 times over the past 7 years. I'll want to ask you in writing about the steps that the Justice Department is taking to prioritize these cases. I know there's been some changes made.
Yes, Senator, it's of our highest priority, and we're urgently working on it 24/7 every day to protect each and every one of you here.
Appreciate it. Thank you, both of you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. Yesterday, I'm sure you all saw the Laura Ingraham interview with Donald Trump, and he was talking about this shooting. And he says he's going to continue to hold these outdoor rallies. He said it's very important symbolically, even though the Secret Service reportedly encouraged him to no longer have these outdoor events. But he says he doesn't want one lone wolf to really change the course of this election or the way he does his rallies. He loves being outside and loves having thousands and thousands of people.
And he's going to go there. He's going to go back to Butler.
Correct.
So one thing he's going to say, I think this new acting director is going to say, is that the Secret Service was in contact with the ESU, so their version of SWAT. But we watched the SWAT team on ABC yesterday saying, no, we couldn't get any communication. I don't like where they placed me. I wanted to be at a different location. I thought it was odd. And then when you hear this one guy sign off, hey, guys, I got to run, but that crazy guy, that suspicious guy is sitting down there on the picnic table. So the communication's now out there.
What's right? Because one SWAT guy is saying we didn't have any contact with the Secret Service until after the shooting.
I would like them all in one room.
And we were wondering why we didn't have a face-to-face.
Right.
But then when you read the timeline of what happened, including the shooter like going to Home Depot and the shooter Googling the Oswald and Kennedy thing, if you read that timeline, it does show that Secret Service did meet with them prior to, a few days before.
They did a walkthrough. So here's the thing. What the acting director is, what we know for sure that he is going to say today, and this is part of his prepared statement, he's going to say, what I saw made me ashamed. As a career law enforcement officer and a 25-year vet with Secret Service, I cannot defend why that roof was not better secured.
Who said that?
This guy, the guy who's going to testify today.
Okay, Ronald Rowe.
Yeah, Ronald Rowe said that. Donald Trump has still got lots of questions about it, and we saw a little bit of, there's Ronald Rowe right there, acting director. He was on, as Ainsley said, with Laura last night. And, you know, a lot of us were watching it live when we saw it happen, as was the former president's wife. Watch this.
What was Melania's reaction, if you don't mind my asking? I know this is very personal, when she learned about what happened on that field in Butler?
She was watching.
Oh, she was watching in real time?
She was watching live. It was all over the place. It was on television. It was on your network, but it was all over the place. And she was watching. I asked her that. I mean, I wasn't there. I was on the ground. And when the world started to, like, you could talk to people, I said, so what was your feeling? And she can't really even talk about it.
Traumatized.
Which is okay, because that means she likes me.
No, she
loves me.
That's good.
He went on to say that she thought the worst had happened to him.
Yeah, we all did.
We all did.
She put out a pretty moving statement afterwards.
Yeah,
she did.
Because when he got up, he had blood on the whole side of his face. One of the things Mr. Rowe has done is he has directed the Secret Service since the assassination attempt to have multiple experienced supervisors go through each security plan for all future events. The key in that sentence is experienced supervisors. You've got to figure that perhaps that day in Butler, they had somebody who did not have the kind of experience that they want, and they're going to change it so that people are safe.
So these are iconic photos. The way he acted under fire, even had Navy SEALs and all. We talked to everyone about that. David Bellavia, who's won all types of congressional medals for his active valor. He said, I've never seen anything quite like it. I've been with people under fire. And it's amazing that it turns out that Facebook, as well as Google, are doing everything possible to suppress images and stories about President Trump's assassination attempt, pointed out by Elon Musk, who, whatever you want to think about what Twitter is now it's X. At least it's a place where all sides get a chance to speak. Are they at it again? Meta and Google, are they going to do it again?
They apologize, Brian.
Right.
They apologize.
And what are they doing?
They fixed it.
Just like they have done for years. They're blaming the algorithm. Although now sometimes they blame artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Meanwhile, 10 minutes before the top of the hour, let's continue to talk about this. Experts revealing new technology could have been used to detect the drone the gunman flew over Trump's rally site just hours before the attempted assassination. Here to discuss all this technology, Kurt Knudsen, the cyber guy. Kurt, I did not know this existed.
So remember
yet.
last week, Director Wray came out for the FBI saying, hey, we do know that the shooter had a drone 2 hours ahead of time flying over the site where the former president was speaking in Pennsylvania. And what we also later learned was technology that I'm about to show you could have easily detected that drone. And not only that, it's called D-Drone, by the way, and it's a very, very smart, one of the best drone detection technology. It can do three things really well. One, it can see the drone in an area that you could put up. It's mobile. You could put this thing up. Secret Service could have been using this easily on the site, and they weren't. This thing will detect the drone. It will also then tell you where the controller for that drone is located. So imagine they would have been able to detect exactly where the alleged assassin was located 2 hours ahead of time. And then three, if they wanted to, they could disable the drone mid-flight. They could just jam it, and the thing doesn't have control. It has no more control from the operator.
This is something to do with Russia and Ukraine, aren't they? I mean, this is what they keep upgrading this.
Look, this is used in police departments around the country. St. Petersburg, Florida Police Department was one of the first to have this. But it's widely used. Power companies use this technology because they want to defend against somebody hitting the infrastructure of their power systems. Why didn't the Secret Service have this deployed is beyond me.
All right, so let's talk about something else that really matters. Where have we seen this before? Facebook and Google are at it again. Facebook admits it wrongly censored the iconic photo of Donald Trump bleeding with the flag right behind him. That doesn't pop up with his fist in the air. And Google suddenly responds to after omitting and admitting the Trump assassination attempt. If you hit in Trump, it comes up Truman. It comes up Reagan assassination attempt. And they blame the algorithm for this. I'll give you their response, but I want your reaction.
My reaction is this. If you think you're dialing on to Facebook, Google, any social media company, any big tech company and getting the truth, you got another thing coming. It is being shaped and censored in the direction they want to provide to you. They'll say in hindsight when they're called out on it, oh, we did that for national security. Oh, or that was an accident. We don't know how that happened. And our algorithm's such a secret sauce, we can't even tell you how it happened. That's all bull. The fact is they're operating the way they want to operate. And whether they're censoring or not, the sad part is you and I don't know about it until today we're sitting here and calling it out.
And Elon Musk, who owns Twitter now, his ex came out and said, isn't this amazing? He pointed the same thing out. And that's not happening on X. Whatever you think of it, at least you have both sides. Google came out in response to Fox and Friends and gave us this statement. We're rolling out improvements to our autocomplete systems to show more up-to-date predictions. These updates will also address the anomalies for some searchers for the names of several past presidents and current vice presidents. The issues are beginning to resolve, and we'll continue to make improvements as needed. Read between the lines.
Autocomplete is something when you're typing and it finishes what you're putting in there. Look, they can tell that to do anything they want. And in this case, did they do it intentionally? I don't know. But the end result was we got censored, period.
And Facebook had a similar statement out. They said they're going to correct it. We'll see what happens. Got to stay on top of it for 98 days to the election. We would just like to see the stories for both sides. Is that possible? And please, not affirmatively. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, Brian.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Moments ago, I sat down with former President Trump for a wide-ranging interview, telling me things that he has never told anyone in an interview before. Enjoy. Mr. President, first, I would like to say a belated congratulations for retiring Joe Biden, at least from the campaign. And now the polls are coming out for his replacement after a whirlwind positive press for Kamala Harris. But the Real Clear Politics average shows you up at about 1.75%, 7% over her. But before the debate, Biden was 1.5 points behind. So you've actually slightly grown your lead on the national poll. So how do you keep Republicans positive and not buying into kind of the negative publicity that they're seeing?
I think she's a worse candidate than him. She's far more radical left. She is younger. I mean, she's 60 years old. A lot of people, I didn't realize she was 60. I thought she was a little younger, but she's 60. She is talking a big game, but her game is pretty bad. I mean, she was the border czar. She's trying to pretend that she wasn't. You know, it's an amazing thing that's happened too, because we did a long time ago.
It's an evolution, Mr. President, that yes, she was more progressive in 2020, but that she's moved to the middle on a number of these issues, and they're making a concerted effort to show kind of a new Kamala 2.0.
In politics, when you start off saying something, that's where you are. And she was for defund the police. She was for open borders. She was for having anybody come in. Now I notice that they're actually saying they want to have immunity for everybody that came into the country, and they want to have citizenship.
She said that, and she said that she knows that Kamala Harris, she assumes Kamala Harris would support that. That means citizenship for 10 million, 15 million,
or
20 million?
Yeah, or 20 million.
What would that do to the country?
Destroy the country. It's already, I mean, it's in such bad shape. Our country has never been in a position like this, in addition to which we could end up in a third world war, okay? But we have 20 million people that have come into the country. I would say by now it's 20, is probably going over that number. We have another 4 months to go, but really it's another 5 months, 5.5 months to go. So that number is going to increase very substantially. They're pouring in, and they're coming from prisons. They're coming from mental institutions, insane asylums. I always say that's a step above a mental institution. And we have a record number of terrorists coming into our country, and only bad things are going to happen. Nothing good is going to come out of it.
A big news today is President Biden announcing reforms to the Supreme Court, which include not allowing immunity for presidents, and also new ethics rules. Now, a lot of us who used to clerk at the court believe that that's just a naked attempt to start knocking off conservative justices.
It is.
They didn't even consult Dick Durbin or the Senate Judiciary Committee on any aspect of this. What does this mean to you, what Biden is?
Well, it's a typical Biden con. He doesn't want to give up immunity, because if he didn't have immunity, look at all the things he did. The $3.5 million from Russia, all the money he's taken in from China, all of the bad things and the evil things he's done, not to mention that thousands of people killed in the border. Look at the Afghanistan pullout with the worst, most embarrassing day in the history of our country. All of the things he's done that are so bad, he desperately wants immunity. There's no way he would write off immunity for a president.
But this is a really upending of our constitutional structure.
He's doing that.
And a common criticism of you from the left is he's the chaos candidate. He's the chaos former
Just the
president.
opposite.
And so what does that do to separation of powers if the executive branch can come along and say, oh, no, even though we have constitutional provisions governing the court, that we're just going to do this, or this is what we stand for?
It's going nowhere. They need 75%, and it's going nowhere. He can't get it. He knows that, too. It's just, I think, look.
Is it a bone to the left?
They staged a coup against the President of the United States. They went in and they told him, you're leaving. You're way down in the polls, 17 points, I think. You know, it's like you're in a fight with somebody, and you're really winning, and they take him out and they put somebody else in. Nobody ever heard of this before. This is a coup. They took him. They said, even though you got 14 million votes, you're out. And he said, I'm not going out.
But you're saying that's what they're kind of doing with the court as well?
No, what they're doing is they're keeping, they took him out. He was losing badly. They took him out. He wants something to say. He's sitting there with nothing to do, nobody to talk to. They threw him out. This was a coup, the first one, of the President of the United States.
But Harris endorsed this Supreme
Court proposal.
They said you're leaving. She endorsed this Supreme Court
she did.
proposal.
She's a radical
Every 2
left.
years, this is going to change justice.
Well, they're also, the one thing you didn't say, they want to pack the court. What they really want to do more than any of it is pack the court. They want to put in, so I've heard as many as 27. They've gotten up to 27.
That's not in this proposal, but this is a response to their losing on a number of high-profile cases. I mean, not every case has gone your way or Republicans' ways. Did Republicans ever put forward a series of these types of radical proposals? I don't recall.
They haven't tended to, and we've been behind also. We've been behind in justices, and they don't do this. Actually, FDR did it a long time ago, which was interesting, but it hasn't really happened like this. It's never going to happen. I'll tell you, if I'm president, it doesn't happen. We keep it the way it is, and it's been working very well for a long period of time. I mean, basically, they want to create another Congress. They want to have so many people. Let's just go to another Congress.
I haven't seen you since the assassination attempt on your life. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I feel good.
New information keeps coming out about how this could have occurred, including text messages among some of the local law enforcement, the SWAT teams that were in place. And most recently, we found out that a local SWAT team member actually spotted crooks 90 minutes before that first shot went off. And they kept tracking him. They even saw him at one point, maybe 45 minutes before, half hour before the shot was fired, with the rangefinder pointing it toward the roof. What's your reaction to this?
Look, I can tell you this. Once the bullets started coming at me, and I got very lucky, I have to attribute it to God, because if I didn't turn to the right, and there was no reason to turn to the right except I dropped a big sign on what a great job I'm doing on immigration, right? So the sign's coming down, and I go like this, and it went phew. If I didn't, I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
You shouldn't have been on that stage. You shouldn't have been allowed to get on that stage.
But I just want to say one thing about Secret Service. They were very brave, because they were coming, bullets were flying over me, because I went down, bullets were flying, and they were on top of me. I had a lot of people on top of me, a lot of very big, strong people on top of me, I want to tell you. And they were very brave. I have to say that. Okay, with that being said, should have been somebody on the roof. There should have been communication with the local police, which there wasn't, so that's a bad thing. And they were seeing this guy, who was a very disturbed person, and they were seeing him around. I mean, it's like, how about the people, the Trump fans, the Trumpsters, the woman in the red shirt that was screaming, he's got a gun, that guy's got a gun.
But this information, Mr. President, demonstrates via text messages in real time that they spotted this individual. The local SWAT team member spotted him. They lost track of him. They saw him again, but then we find out there was no pre-planning done between the Secret Service and the local SWAT teams, which is common, which is customary, in addition to the drone flying ahead.
Actually, worse, there was no communication. So they didn't speak to each other. They actually didn't speak. That just came out. Look, it's a terrible thing. Should have been somebody up there. Now, the Secret Service shooter, the Secret Service sniper, it was amazing what he did. With one bullet, he took him out. And that was an amazing shot he made. I heard it was like an incredible shot, much further away. It would have been good if it was 9 seconds sooner. You know, we lost one great person and 2 people were very badly hurt, and now they're doing okay, and we're in communication with them. They're doing pretty good. They're doing very good. I thought they were going to die. I thought both of them were going to die also.
But you agreed to an interview with the FBI, as it's called a victim's interview in a situation
They're coming in on Thursday to see me, and I thought I would. I'm so disappointed. You know, if you took a poll of the FBI, I bet I get 95%, but not at the top level, not at the people, the
Why do
political
people not trust the upper echelon of the FBI at this point?
Well, they've had a bad period of time. I mean, they raided Mar-a-Lago. That's not so good. And I guess we bring a suit. You know, we won that whole case, and we won it the right way. We won it because we won it. We won it in court. It was a big thing. Hardly got any publicity. All they did is talk about the documents. I was allowed the Presidential Records Act, but we won the case, and the press hardly reports it. Now, with Biden, he really was convicted of that case. He was let go of that case. And by the way, you're talking about many more, and he didn't have Presidential Records Act. Just one thing, Laura. They said he was incompetent, and therefore he can't stand trial, and yet he would have been allowed to be president. Think of that. So he sort of semi-won it. Of course, you don't want to have that kind of a victory. You win because you're incompetent. But he actually was guilty.
What was Melania's reaction, if you don't mind my asking? I know this is very personal, when she learned about what happened on that field in Butler?
She was watching.
Oh, she was watching in real
She
time?
was watching live. It was all over the place. It was on television. It was on your network, but it was all over the place. And she was watching. I asked her that. I mean, I wasn't there. I was on the ground. And when the world started to, like, you could talk to people, I said, so what was your feeling? And she was, she can't really even talk about it.
Traumatized.
Which is okay, because that means she likes me.
No, she
Well, she
still
loves
likes you.
me.
That's good.
I mean, let's say she could talk about it freely. That wouldn't be, I'm not so sure which is better. But she either likes or loves me, and that's nice. But I will say this, look, she was, when I went down, she thought the worst had happened, because I went down. And I grabbed my, and I saw it was, my hand was loaded up with blood. You see it in slow motion, instant replay. You know, we had hundreds of press there. So this was covered live. They would have had instant replay and everything else, which they already do in this. But supposing the worst happened, you know, one man, Corey, was killed, hit horribly,
amazing man,
horribly in the head. And, you know, to guard, he was guarding his family.
That's why how important it is to get to the bottom of why this was allowed to occur. I mean, he died.
No, he died.
You almost died.
He died instantly. Instantly. He was dead immediately.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
What was Melania's reaction, if you don't mind my asking? I know this is very personal, when she learned about what happened on that field in Butler?
She was watching. She can't really even talk about it.
Traumatized.
Which is okay, because that means she likes me.
No, she
loves me.
All right, Fox News alert Donald Trump reflecting on the attempted assassination. As the FBI reveals, the gunman was spotted some 90 minutes before opening fire. And while his motive is still unclear, we now learn that he made more than 24 firearms-related purchases using an alias. He actually bought the rifle from his dad. A House bipartisan task force was just formed to investigate, as the acting Secret Service director is set to testify in front of the senators today. So how soon can we get some answers? Congressman Mark Green is a member of that task force, and he's got the military background and joins us now. Congressman, where are you focused on this investigation? Everything, or is one thing bothering you specifically?
Well, there's a couple of things, Brian. First, thanks for having me on. You know, in the assessment phase, someone made a decision to basically not have someone on that building. That was a really bad decision. I went out, and in my committee, I'm the chair of Homeland, we went out and looked at it Monday right after the event, and it clearly that should have been covered. And then in the operations phase, the communications between local law enforcement and the Secret Service was very shoddy, ineffective, clearly. And someone made a decision to let Trump go on the stage with all of this information about the shooter. In fact, there was an image of him ranging the target, basically sent by text from the Pennsylvania State Police to their person in the control room and passed to the Secret Service 10 minutes before Trump took the stage, and they let him take the stage. Whoever made that decision, we want to talk to him, find out what the heck he was thinking. You know, is this procedures that went bad or bad decision making on the ground?
And with the Secret Service agents around President Trump didn't know any of this. So they are as upset as you can imagine, because they put themselves in harm's way. So I'm just going to share this with you, this text message to the SWAT team, the ESU team, 4:26 p.m. Someone followed our lead and snuck in and parked by our cars. Just so you know, I'm just letting you know at 4:27, because you see me go out with my rifle and put it in my car, so he shows you guys, so he knows you guys are up there. He's sitting right to the direct right of me on the picnic table, about 50 yards from the exit. I just don't understand, because I don't have the law enforcement background, why the next step wouldn't be to confront him physically. Just walk down. What are you doing? You're outside the perimeter. You have no interest in the event. You've been sitting there looking suspicious. Just what's wrong with just asking him?
Yeah, that's right. And I think most law enforcement officers, if they see someone, they just go up, start talking to them, further assess them. That should have happened very clearly. And then they lost track of the guy, caught glimpses of him later, multiple different times, took pictures, sent it to Secret Service. Someone should have stopped this guy a lot sooner. And of course, the Secret Service should never have let him go up on stage, the president.
And Mark, we don't have time now, but I do want you, I'm sure you guys are going to be focused on the update we got yesterday that Iran is already meddling in our election. That's was issued out from the Director of National Intelligence. They've observed them trying to influence through social media and other aspects to make sure Trump loses. So I think we should make sure that Americans get to pick the next president. So we have 98 days to get this right. Hope you'll focus on that. Congressman, thanks you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks.
All right.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Have you watched any of the Olympics?
I thought that the opening ceremony was a disgrace, actually. I thought it was a disgrace.
The mocking of the Last Supper.
I thought it was
Catholics and Christians across the globe are outraged.
I mean, they can do certain things. I thought it was terrible.
Can you say at the next Olympics, if you're present, there won't be, you'll have enough influence on the organizers that we won't be, insulting Christians?
We won't be having a Last Supper as portrayed the way they portrayed it the other night. I just think, look, I'm for everybody. I'm very open-minded. You understand.
Yeah.
You know me better than most people know me. I'm very open-minded. But I thought what they did was a disgrace.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
There are reports that say that you have the lowest approval rating of any vice president. Well, there are polls that also say I have great approval ratings.
Swing voters don't like Harris. How big a drag is Kamala Harris on the ticket?
She's a pretty big drag. I think she was arguably Biden's worst political decision.
They don't like her. There's lots of reasons they don't like her.
Kamala Harris's approval rating is now at 28%, which is an historic low for any modern vice president.
We're hearing it from mainstream media, one outlet after another, one leak after another. That Kamala Harris is the worst vice president ever, the worst politician ever.
We don't see the vice president. What people are saying to me, and I'm sure they're saying it to you, where's the vice president? Some White House officials are feeling that she came off looking unprepared for inevitable questions about when she might visit the southern border.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
The point that Lester Holt was making was obvious to anyone else who was watching this interview, which is that the issues at the border are inextricably linked with the portfolio that she's been given.
The border is secure. We have a secure border.
Bidenomics is working.
Prices have gone up. And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up.
He picked Kamala Harris to be his running mate. She was ranked and is ranked as the most liberal senator in the United States Senate. So he could have gone the other way, but he went to the left.
Joe Biden is running for re-election, and I will be his ticket mate. Full stop. Full stop. That's it.
Every voter in Minnesota needs to know that when the violent mobs of anarchists and looters and Marxists came to burn down Minneapolis 4 years ago, remember me? I couldn't get your governor to act. He's supposed to call in the National Guard or the Army, and he didn't do it. I couldn't get your governor. So I sent in the National Guard to save Minneapolis while Kamala Harris sided with the arsonist and rioter and raised money to bail out the criminals, bail them all out of jail. Remember?
The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the concurrent resolution as amended is adopted.
She cast the deciding vote to pass the American Rescue Plan, which pushed inflation, supporting all the spending that President Biden signed into law, and people are still struggling to pay bills.
Even some former Obama economists had said the American Rescue Plan has contributed to the inflation that we're seeing today.
It's definitely too big for the moment. I don't know any economist that was recommending something the size that what was done.
The tremendous wall of money just sets off a dynamic. And then the thing about inflation is you start chasing your tail.
Did it create inflation? Did $2 trillion of deficit spending create inflation?
It did boost demand, and that is one of several factors that are involved in inflation.
There are 15,000 people in Beaufort County who are food insecure, and the line of people in need seems to be growing.
Higher gas prices and rent also helped push inflation up.
Economic indicators point to extreme pain.
The Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the concurrent resolution as amended is adopted.
All of this is part of our blueprint together for what America can be. This is Bidenomics.
You know, for far too long, the status quo thinking has been to believe that by putting more police on the street, you're going to have more safety. And that's just wrong.
Does that mean you support proposals like what we've seen in Los Angeles, Mayor Eric Garcetti saying, take some of the money from policing, about $150 million?
I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done. It is outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street. We have to reimagine public safety and how we do public safety in our country.
One local radio show asked then-Senator Kamala Harris where she stood on the defund the police movement.
Defund the police. The issue behind it is that we need to reimagine how we are creating safety. And when you have many cities that have 1/3 of their entire city budget focused on policing, we know that is not the smart way and the best way or the right way to achieve safety. This whole movement is about rightly saying we need to take a look at these budgets and figure out whether it reflects the right priorities. For too long, the status quo thinking has been you get more safety by putting more cops on the street. Well, that's wrong.
Harris sending this out on X. If you're able to chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota.
Thanks to Harris's promotion, the group reportedly raised $35 million in just a few weeks.
Darnica Floyd, charged with second-degree murder for stabbing a friend to death. And she got out of jail, too. A twice-convicted rapist, currently charged with kidnapping and sexual assault, and he walks out, too.
The Freedom Fund raked in donations when it was promoted by many, including now Vice President Kamala Harris.
Sean Michael Tillman shot and killed a passenger on a train platform after reportedly being released from jail 3 weeks prior. All thanks to the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
Donovan Boone was charged with breaking into the home of an ex-girlfriend and choking her. Freedom Fund bailed him out for $3,000 cash, and he hasn't shown up for court since.
I often don't even look at a charge specifics when I bail someone out.
The Hennepin County attorney called out the Minnesota Freedom Fund for bailing Mosley out of jail twice previously, even though he was arrested for having a gun in the courthouse.
The Minnesota Freedom Fund, which pays cash bail for low-income criminals, paid Tims's entire $10,000 bail in cash.
11 days later, police found a man bleeding from the head and ears in this alley. Police were able to arrest Tims in connection to this violent assault.
Howard was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The Minnesota Freedom Fund acknowledged supporting Howard's bail.
You're considered the most liberal United States senator.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that a position that you agree with?
We need to probably think about starting from scratch.
Say it loud. Say it clear. Everyone is welcome here.
Raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross a border.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
You support giving
universal health care, Medicare for all to people who are in this country illegally.
I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public health, period.
You support the Medicare for All bill. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. For people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it.
Let's eliminate all of that.
Boston Marathon bomber on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation. As President of the United States, I am prepared to pass a Green New Deal.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
What is the solution for voters who have jobs and interests in the fossil fuel industry?
Transition into the jobs of the future.
But would you support changing the dietary guidelines? Reduce red meat specifically?
Yes, I would. We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
This is America's border czar, and she's failed us. Under Harris, over 10 million illegally here. 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl. Brutal migrant crimes. And ISIS now here.
Do you have any plans to visit the border? You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
Kamala Harris, failed, weak, dangerously liberal.
Joe Biden made Kamala Harris border czar to fix immigration. First, she ignored it.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
At some point.
Then she just lied.
The border is secure.
10 million illegal immigrants. Migrant crime out of control. Fentanyl kills thousands.
We have a secure border.
Kamala Harris, failed, weak, dangerously liberal.
Back here on Sid and Friends in the Morning, and here he is. Boy, I love this guy. The 45th and soon-to-be 47th President of the United States, my friend, President Donald Trump. Mr. President, how are you today?
I'm good. We just had some very good poll numbers come out, as you see, against this crazy person that we're running against. How she's running is just so bad. With her protection of our border, she was the border czar, and millions of people coming in, and she's running for president. It's crazy, but that's what it is. Welcome to the world of politics.
It is crazy. You know, I want to rewind the tape just a couple of weeks, Mr. President. And, you know, I arrived in Milwaukee the day you were in Butler, Pennsylvania. Right. And I went to my hotel room, and I went to put away my clothing. Fox News on in the background, and I thought I heard gunshots. And I sat at the edge of the bed. I remember I was born in 1967. Kennedy was assassinated in 63. I said to my father, I said, Daddy, why were grown men crying when the president was shot? And I'm going to tell you something, Mr. President. I sat at the edge of my bed in Milwaukee, and I cried. And when you pumped your fist and told me and the rest of America you're okay, you made me and millions of people feel good again and come to the quick realization, once again, you're the toughest guy we know.
Well, thank you very much, Sid. It was a terrible day. It was a bad moment for our country. It was incredible that could happen, but it did. It was a bad thing.
It was, and now it turns out, I guess, we know the FBI and the Secret Service both screwed up major, both of them. And is it true, Mr. President, you've agreed now to become a victim witness for the FBI in this investigation?
Yeah, whatever I can do, I'll do. I think we have sort of an obligation to do that. I'm very disappointed with the FBI, not the people in the FBI, but the way it's being run. And it's, obviously very disappointing. And Secret Service, they were very brave. Look, they jumped on that stage, but they had some real holes when you look at nobody on that roof and no coordination with the police. It seems to be coming out that there was absolutely no coordination, and that's a pretty bad thing when you think of it.
Horrible,
so
and I'm glad.
A lot of bad facts are coming in.
Yes, and I'm glad Kimberly Cheeto resigned, Mr. President, but we need Christopher Wray to step down too, no?
Well, he's been disappointing, certainly. He's been a lot of things. I mean, he seems to be focused on putting everybody on J6 in prison. He was a Christie recommendation. Chris Christie, can you believe it? And what can I tell you? You take recommendations. And so, hey, we hope for the best. That's all I can tell you. He raided Mar-a-Lago, and that turned out to be a very bad thing for him to do. We won that case, you know that, right? We won the poll documents case. And Biden should be guilty. Biden should be guilty on that case. He should be a convicted felon because they ruled that, he can't he's not competent to go to court, but he's supposed to be competent to be president. Think of that. Think of that one. He can't go to court, but he can be president.
It is crazy. But you win all the cases, thank God, because they're all a joke. But I want to talk to you about being nice. You made a comment last week. It was great. You go, they shot me. I was being nice. Now, I'm not going to be so nice. I got to tell you, Mr. President, I'm sick and tired of people telling me about you being nice. You know what I want Trump to be? I want Trump to be Trump. The authentic Trump is the guy that's won 3 consecutive primaries, is going to win 3 consecutive elections. When he has to be nice, he's nice. When he doesn't have to be, he's not. Enough with this nice nonsense, no?
Well, that was a great description. Do you mind if I just plagiarize from you? Do you mind? I can use those same words.
Thank you.
Because I'll tell you what, that was a very good description. Look, I want to be nice, and I'm a person that's just nice. I have a lot of friends like you, but I want to be a nice person. They're trying to put me in prison. These are people. These are animals we're dealing with. These are horrible people. They're letting millions and millions of people come into our country and kill people. It's happening every day. Millions of people. Every day it's happening where there's tremendous migrant crime. They come in from all over the world. They're coming in from prisons, and you know what's happening. They're coming in directly from prisons, saving these countries a fortune, by the way. But think of it, mental institutions and terrorists are coming in, and they're pouring into the country. And then they say, I'm not democratic. I'm not democratic. I'm a threat to democracy. It's just a soundbite. It means nothing to them to say it. Maybe it's a reason I was shot. Who knows? It's rhetorically a terrible thing to say about somebody like me, but they say it all the time. And actually, they're the threat.
Yep.
Joe Biden's incompetent, and then they took his 14 million votes and they gave it to somebody else instead of going to a primary system that you're supposed to do. And she's more incompetent than he is, in my opinion. And she's far more radical.
Yeah. No, it's not even close. She's a heck of a lot worse. Yes, they try to put you in prison, and they try to kill you. And take it from me, I know President Trump. He's on the phone right now. Great sense of humor. Nicest guy in the world. Great father. Great grandfather. Great family man. But we need to win this. Bottom line is we need to win. Look at the great job you did with the Supreme Court. Now these two people, they want to overhaul it. They want to get rid of the immunity decision. They don't know what to do first. Leave the Supreme Court alone, but they're going to try to change it, aren't they?
But they don't really want to get away with end the immunity decision, because if they didn't have immunity, Biden would be in tremendous trouble.
That's right.
With all the criminal acts that he's committed. He would be in tremendous trouble. So he doesn't really. That's just it's typical. This is all they are: misinformation, disinformation. The last thing that crooked Joe Biden wants to do is get rid of immunity, because if he got rid of immunity, he would be spending the rest of his life fighting it out. I mean, you know that. It's pretty amazing. So it's just talk. It's just sound bites. Now, the rest of it he wants to. They want to pack the court. He doesn't want to get rid of presidential immunity, because then he wouldn't have immunity. Right. He'd retire, and anybody would be able to go after him. So he doesn't want to do that. But they put it out there. He'll give that up. You watch. He'll give that up. But what he does want to do is hurt the judges, and what he does want to do is pack the court. There's no question about that. They want to have, I've heard numbers like 29 judges. I've heard all different numbers.
Oh, God.
They want to pack the court.
That's nuts.
It's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Yep.
I do want to talk about Israel, too, because you know how staunch I am, President Trump. You know.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, you're in St. Cloud, Minnesota. It's hours, not days, not months, hours after 12 little kids were blown to smithereens, and you find it in your heart to make a point. Do you know that 2 days later, this Harris, who went to a sorority party in Indiana instead of going to watch Bibi speak, this Harris, who gave Bibi an ultimatum the day before he met you, hasn't said a word about these little kids? How disgraceful is that?
And by the way, there was just another very bad attack in the UK. Now, I don't know that this has anything to do with anything that we're talking about right now, but there was a vicious, violent attack that just took place just now in the UK, and terrible. What's going on is it's terrible.
Well, Israel's going to be a huge point of contention. And I must say, when Bibi met with you, when Bibi met with you Friday, and the photo op of you and Bibi, Mr. President, and then that room you made look so beautiful with the Israeli flags at Mar-a-Lago. That's what two leaders look like, you and Bibi, not the nonsense on Thursday. Do you know they didn't even take a photo op? Not Biden, not Harris, not anybody.
When she stood up with him, she wanted to get out of there so fast you could see the disdain. Number one, she doesn't like Israel. Number two, she doesn't like Jewish people. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it, and nobody wants to say it. And I mean this sincerely. You know, I'm running in New York. And I think we have a good shot in New York, by the way. And Lee Zeldin's heading it up and the whole thing. Yep. And you're going to sort of head it up as much as you're allowed to do that stuff. But I'm running in New York. Any Jewish person that votes for Biden or a Democrat, but votes for Biden, any Democrat or votes for, and now we have Kamala, because, you know, you don't really have this yet because you still have to have a convention. But anybody that votes for that group of people, those two people, but now it looks like it's going to be her because she dislikes Jewish people and Israel more than Biden did. And Biden never did anything, and neither did Obama. It never did. And you know, the amazing thing is that the Palestinians hate him also, which is sort of interesting. I mean, they've pulled off like this massive thing where everybody hates him. But frankly, any Jewish person that voted for her or him or whoever it's going to be, I assume it's going to be her, anybody that did that should have their head examined. If you love Israel or if you're Jewish, because a lot of Jewish people do not like Israel, and they happen to be in New York. You know that.
Yes.
But if you are Jewish, regardless of Israel, if you're Jewish, if you vote for a Democrat, you're a fool, an absolute fool. They have let Jewish people down since Obama at levels that nobody could believe possible. You know, 15 years ago, the strongest lobby in all of Washington was Israel. It was by far the strongest lobby. Nobody would say anything bad about Israel. Today, it's like nobody says anything good, except Republicans, by the way. Nobody says anything good about it. So it's a hell of a change. I assume you know exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, I know.
15 years ago, you couldn't say a bad thing.
No.
You'd be out of office.
Yeah.
And today, it's almost like, I mean, Schumer has become a Palestinian. Chuck Schumer is officially now a Palestinian.
It's funny, but it's true. It's sad. He is. And they tell me that this Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, Mr. President, is Jewish. He's Jewish like Bernie Sanders is Jewish. Are you kidding me? He's a crappy Jew. Yeah. He's a horrible Jew. So on the way out, we covered a lot here, okay? And look, you got a good couple of months ahead of you here. You're going to win again, trust me. And the economy, every bit of this economy that went to hell since you left office, she's been a part of all of it, from inflation to the strangling interest rates to all the bad deals around the world. She can't escape all of that, right? Her complexion and her gender, she can't escape all of that, right?
She's worse than him, and she's more radical. And look, defund the police. That's all you have to hear, defund the police. She wanted to defund the police. She was the leader of that movement. Now she tries to pretend she was the head of the border. She was in charge of the border, right? She was the border czar. Now, if you look, you can't find that term anywhere. You know, they've deleted, the fake news has deleted it largely. But she was the border czar. If there's enough, we have plenty. She was the border czar. She presided over the worst border in the history of the world. There's never been a border like this. There's never been a border like this for any country. And she was the border czar. Now she tries to take it away, but she can't do that. She is far worse than Biden. Remember that.
I agree. Far worse, and that's hard to believe. Mr. President, I just thank God you're okay. We all love you, and you're going to win again, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep being President Trump, because that's good enough to win every time, and thank you so much for hopping on with me again today. I love you, pal.
And Sid, make sure we win New York, please, okay? You have a lot of people listening to this crazy show. You have a lot of people. I don't even think you know it, but you have a lot of people. Will you please make sure that we win New York, okay? I'll put you in charge indirectly, all right?
You have my word, Mr. President. We're going to win New York for you, okay, pal?
Thank you, man.
God bless you.
So long, Sid.
Take care.
Goodbye.
This is America's border czar, and she's failed us. Under Harris, over 10 million illegally here. 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl.
The Trump campaign releasing that new ad taking on Kamala Harris's failures on immigration as a resurfaced video from her days as a senator reveals what she really thought about ICE agents.
The Klan was what we would call today a domestic terrorist group.
Why would we call them domestic terrorist group?
because they tried to use fear and force to change political environment.
Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see a parallel.
Nope, I don't see a parallel.
I don't think so. Nice try. Sean Hannity joins us now to react. Sean, that's not going to wear well, and it hasn't worn well, right?
Okay, let's start here, and probably your job today is going to be to calm me down. The vetting of Kamala Harris has finally begun. People need to understand who she is, the position she's taken, how radical she is. She has invoked the KKK. She has invoked Nazism. She has invoked slavery. She wants sanctuary cities and states. We know that Kamala Harris says that illegal immigrants, that's not a criminal act. She wants free health care. She wants free education for illegal immigrants. She wants to eliminate the term. We have to have the courage to not say the words illegal alien. We need the courage not to say radical Islamic terrorism. This is a person that wants to eliminate private health care, your own private health insurance. She sponsored the Green New Deal. She's to the left of Bernie Sanders. She's against fracking. She's against drilling. She wants no restrictions on abortion. By the way, if you're between the ages of 18 and 24, that would be Ainsley's age group. She thinks that the people in that age group are stupid. She wants to defund, dismantle, no bail laws, reimagine the police. She has surrendered in the war on radical Islamic terrorism. She wants a mandatory gun buyback. Let me interpret that for you. That is called gun confiscation. She wants 70 to 80% in terms of a tax rate. Let me tell you, I have a list right here of 4 pages of small print names of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's illegal immigrants that have murdered Americans. We know some of their names. Most Americans don't know all of their names. That little 12-year-old girl, Jocelyn Nungary in Texas, brutalized for 2 hours, raped and murdered. We know the name of Rachel Morin, and that's the mother of 5 that was murdered by one of Joe and Kamala Harris's unvetted illegal immigrants. We know the name Laken Riley. We know about the 13-year-old girl raped in broad daylight in Queens, New York. Listen, let me put it this way, and I said it last night, and I'll say it every night between now and election night. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they have blood on their hands. They have facilitated this. They have aided and abetted in the lawbreaking. And they must be held accountable. And the worst part is, Brian, is they don't even call these families. They don't say they're sorry. They don't rethink their position.
Pete Buttigieg says, Brian, prospectively, proportionally, illegal immigrants correct less crimes than any American. What's your answer to that?
I didn't hear the last part of that question. What part?
Pete Buttigieg says on Sunday that illegal immigrants commit less percentage of crimes than the average American.
Look, what she is saying is just a lie. She's the most radical person to ever run for the position of the presidency. You know, with this last-minute change that we have, it has changed the dynamic of the race. And I know it has created in some people's minds upheaval and anxiety. And, you know, every election season, we're 7, 8 days away from Election Day. And everybody, it's an emotional roller coaster. And people have to understand, if I'm the Trump campaign, you have one job, and that is to inform the American public of her record. Use her in her words. The media in this country is so abusively biased and corrupt, they're not going to vet her. They are going to give her a pass. Everything that I just mentioned is not going to come up unless the Trump campaign brings it up. It's on them to make sure every American, before early voting starts in 46 days in Pennsylvania, is aware of her radical record. If they do that, forget about all the criticisms of J.D. Vance and all the distractions and Republicans are racist, sexist, and homophobic, xenophobic, whatever. America won't vote for her. That's my position.
Sean, it's not just the media. It's big tech, too. Here we go again. After the assassination attempt on President Trump, Facebook censored the iconic photo of Trump getting up with the blood on his face and the fist in the air. They omitted that and they said it was a mistake. Then Google, if you type in the phrase, the assassination attempt of, there are no results for Trump. They said on Google, we're rolling out improvements. This is what Kirk Knudsen, the cyber guy, said about it. Listen.
Think you're dialing on to Facebook, Google, any social media company, any big tech company and getting the truth, you got another thing coming. It is being shaped and censored in the direction they want to provide to you. They'll say in hindsight when they're called out on it, oh, we did that for national security. Oh, or that was an accident. We don't know how that happened. And our algorithm's such a secret sauce, we can't even tell you how it happened. That's all bull. The fact is they're operating the way they want to operate, and whether they're censoring or not, the sad part is you and I don't know about it until today we're sitting here and calling it out.
Sean, what's your response to that? They censor any of the search results. You were right. The media doesn't talk about her record and how radicalized and how progressive she is.
Ainsley, you can't underestimate the importance of your question, and I am really serious. You know, Jim Jordan of the House Judiciary Committee was on my show, and he said, we found evidence, Sean, that your social media accounts in 2020 were being suppressed by your government, on top of course, every text message that I've ever sent out whenever they feel like releasing him. Unlike Peter Strzok, I'm not getting a $1.2 million payout in spite of the fact that they violated my privacy. But let's go back to 2020, and this is where it gets very relevant. The FBI in March of 2020, they verified the authenticity of Hunter Biden's laptop. They knew it was true. Now, why in the months before the 2020 election was the FBI meeting on a weekly basis with big tech companies, warning big tech that they may be victims of a misinformation, disinformation campaign regarding either Joe and or Hunter Biden? And then when the laptop story, the very true laptop story, was broken by the New York Post, companies like, at the time, Twitter and Facebook, they went to the FBI. The FBI had already verified the authenticity of the laptop. Then they asked, well, is this what you were warning us about, or is this story true? The FBI knew it was true. They didn't answer the question that it was true, and they did it as an in-kind campaign donation, just like they used Hillary Clinton's dirty Russian disinformation dossier in 2016 as a means of getting not one but 4 FISA warrants. Just like 51 former intel agents, they were organized by Wink and Tony Blinken. They knew nothing about Hunter's laptop, and they lied to the American people. We have a deep state in this country that, frankly, is putting their entire organization's weight on the scales of an election.
How about rewriting headline from 2021 to make it seem as though she wasn't the border czar? That's the craziest thing. Nuts. Hey, Sean, I'm going to make sure to watch your show tonight. There's a lot of things going on, and we'll see if the Trump campaign can switch from Biden to Harris.
Brian, Ainsley, and everybody watching, I am going to do the job, along with many of us here on Fox. I will vet Kamala Harris so that every American knows just how radical she is.
Well, every night you play her sound bites. It's not just you heard that she said this. You're actually playing the sound bites of her radical progressive views.
Right. All right, Sean.
Her own words. Yep.
We'll make sure to watch. Promise not to wear a tie. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for waking up for us, Sean.